Thank you. I would like to start with a very humble thank you for having the opportunity to be here today. Thank you to Creative Mornings and to the beautiful concert hall making this possible. I'm the regional contact for Burning Man in Sweden. But really, Burning Man is something so much greater and such a wide, huge, important thing to so many people that I would advise you all to just seek it out and find your own truth about it. I can only say what I've experienced and learned through the process of creating in this beautiful community, and I invite you all to co-create. What is Burning Man? How many in here consider themselves to be burners? Quite a few. How many have heard about Burning Man? Yes. Yes, so Burning Man is this magic place. It's an event in the desert, and it's also what many people call home. When you first arrive after hours and hours and hours of drive, after months of preparation, after endless fiddling with logistical issues, preparing yourself for survival in a harsh environment, you're met by greeters and they say, "Welcome home." And at first you might not understand the full extent of what it means, but in the fullness of time, you come to realize that, yes, this is really my home. It's a place where things we think are impossible become possible. You walk down the street and you meet a 50-meter-long fluffy cat. You run into some stilt walkers on their way to the stilt bar. There are mutant vehicles, there are magicians, there are creators, doers. Everyone is there, and you constantly have to pinch your arm to see, is this for real? But it is. It's a city in the desert where on a yearly basis, now it's 74,000 people who gather there. And, but it started small and is growing all over the world. It's a culture of possibilities. This is one of the temples from previous years where people come to pray or mourn or celebrate love or rites of passage. Things that you wouldn't think would be possible in other places becomes possible there. It's also a network of dreamers and doers. This is a picture from up in the Arctic last year in Sweden, where a bunch of burners set out to explore some mountains. So it extends way beyond this desert. Burning Man is founded on 10 principles, or rather, there are 10 principles that describes the culture that takes place. They're not rules. You don't oblige to follow them, but it's more of a guidance around the ethos that underlines Burning Man. Gifting. Gifting means that there's no exchange of goods. There's no money involved. All these people, everyone involved in this come and bring things to give and don't expect anything in return. And this is it's a very profound experience, both to gift and to learn to receive, because we're so used to paying for things and we're so used to exchanging things and expecting things in return. But what you really learn here is the value of gifting, because it's it's a positive reinforcement that takes place. So once you start to give, you want to give more. So you start by maybe making a little bracelet and give to people. And then next year you want to build some big birds. And then the year after you want to build something like the temple you just saw. So this positive reinforcement of gifting is really something that is huge. It's a culture where there's a principle of decommodification. So there's no exploitation going on. There's no logos. There's no one trying to make money out of this. It's there, and you have everything you see is art and people and a community. And this is quite important in a society where we're constantly washed over with commercial messages. It's something that liberates the mind to think in a different way. It's about participation. And you can participate in any way you want to. You can participate by being there and sitting and meditating for a week. You can participate by dancing, or by bringing your observatory, or by anything that you would like to gift. Radical self-expression. The way I interpreted this principle is, it's a little bit like an onion where you peel off the layers so that only the core, the really central things of you remain. Burning Man brings out the seed of potential in you. It brings out everything that's beautiful and unique about you. Radical inclusion. These are some lamplighters. They're on their way to the temple. And the temple is a place where people from all walks of life, where people from various religions, from various faiths gather and as Burning Man at large. And to me, radical inclusion means take it in. You don't necessarily, there's no it's not decided what you need to do with it, but take it in, observe it, be with it, include it. Everyone is welcome. Welcome the stranger. Communal effort. Nothing of what you've seen or what's related to Burning Man would be possible without communal effort. And something you realize when living this principle is what a beautiful experience it is to do things together, especially in a society where we're very much advocating the endeavors of the individual and individual creations. So doing something together, creating synergy when the sum of the parts is greater than the parts. This is communal effort. It's also something that underpins the entire society at large outside Burning Man that we live in. This is all communal effort. We do it together. Radical self-reliance. So many of these principles relate to each other. So in order for people not to come and just be dependent on others completely, radical self-reliance means that you come with what you need in order to live through this experience. And it can be in a very practical manner. Bring your water. And it can also be on an emotional manner. Be responsible for yourself. 1 + 1 is 11, but if you know, 0.5 plus 0.5 doesn't even become 1. Immediacy means being here and now, being in the present, just the only thing that exists. Civic responsibility. Burning Man does not exist in a closed container. It's a place where we live in society at large, and we interact with society at large. And there are laws, and there are a society to relate to, basically. Leave no trace. This is a principle that is more or less impossible to live up to, according to some people, because whatever we do, we leave a trace. But this, at Burning Man, you don't see any trash on the ground like you would see in some other festivals, because these principles sort of encourage people to pack it in, pack it out, don't let it hit the ground. So instead of having trash bins here and there where you can throw things and making someone else pick up your trash, you're responsible. So this relates also to the radical self-reliance. You're responsible for your shit that you create. So yes, so Burning Man is basically way outside your comfort zone. It's whatever you expect it to be. You can put your expectations wherever, and it will always meet you with something you could never have imagined. And it will challenge you, and it will make you grow, and it will, in the most unexpected ways. It's a transformative experience where you will change from this journey. It's also a very experimental culture where people try out all kinds of things, and people allow themselves to it's a culture of a testing ground, a laboratory for all kinds of experiments with culture, with other things. There are no spectators. If you're there, you're participating. There are no visitors looking at what the other people are doing. And this is kind of the essence of participatory culture. And this is also where societies at large is moving, where we don't want to consume anymore. We want to create. We want to be it. We want to change. We want to walk the talk and not just passively watch and buy things. It's also about connection. This is from one of our regional burns. It's also about connecting to yourself, connecting to others, opening up, and finding, like there are various spiritual ways of describing what goes on when you connect to not just yourself, not just someone else, but to something that is so much greater than you. When you realize that you're part of the universe, and you change your perspective and you tap in and connect. It's a unique experience, or it can also be change your life and be a way of life. This unicorn here used to be an art director for a very, very big global company. He's now a unicorn full-time, and also into Tantra and some other things. It's a safe space to open up. And I'm sure everyone in here are aware of or knows the concept of creative principles and things like that. And I would say that this is exactly what it is. So, and also, I would also relate it a little bit to Gothenburg, because I'm from here. And I think that Gothenburg is also that safe space where creativity can bloom. You feel accepted. No one's gonna point you out for making a failure. You're allowed to experiment. You're allowed to fail forward. You're allowed to test things. And that's super important. No judgment. Yes, and it's all about co-creation. It's all about, instead of the individual efforts, it's focusing on the collective, what we can achieve together, the synergies. Some people call it a temporary utopian zone. Duocracy is another word that often is coming up, where basically, instead of asking for permission or having some kind of top-down governing structure, you just walk forward and do things and create things, and maybe you seek advice along the process, but it's not about asking for permission. It's just, you see a problem, fix it. It's yours, you own it. It's a separatistic event in Nevada, and there's lots of events all over the world, but it's a global community. So while people gather at those events and sort of concentrate this creative power, magic, there, melting pots of magic, it also then floats back into society. It's a reminder that life is precious, and it's really what you do with life. It awakes the inherent creative potential. This, for instance, is from the Borderland, and this is a slime pit, so you could have a bath here in this slime sculpture. It's a global network. This is Africa Burn, now about 12,000 participants, been running for 10 years, so we're the biggest outside US burn in the world. This is Midburn in Israel, a very interesting context and civil society to do these kind of things in. There's something called Burners Without Borders, which is an NGO that focuses on the disaster reliefs and various community projects, like things like Katrina or the jungle in Calais. That's where they use the same kind of the same kind of spirit as you do at Burning Man, but to create good out in the world. So they have lots of different projects, lots of different grants they're handing out, and work all over the world. Another part of Burning Man is the arts and the civic engagement. So this is a project from Taiwan that's in the desert. So big projects come from all over the world, and they're then established in the desert. But it also goes the other way around. So this is a temple in Londonderry in Ireland, where one of the well-known creators of temples at Burning Man took the temple outside the playa and built a temple in a city. The Borderland is our regional burn. It has gone from 10 people in 2010 to 1,500 people now, 2017. And, or we'll see how many actually turns up, but it's going to be around that figure. Yeah, it's a regional burn. It's a possibility for anyone who wants to create things in this region, but maybe not go through the giant process of bringing art across the Atlantic that a lot of burners from Gothenburg has done. We have projects like the Grand Flat Piano, a guy called Ulle, or the Wind Wagon, maybe you've heard of, a guy called Henrik, and a lot of crazy, beautiful sailors brought a wind wagon to the desert. So this, our regional burn, we're a Nordic community, and for many years it was taking place at Gotland, and at the moment it's located 1 hour south of Copenhagen in a limestone quarry. And if you can't wait until the Borderland, then the next occasion to actually burn or to dip your toe in this magic soup will be at the Burning Man week in Stockholm in the beginning of March. So the 1st to the 7th of March, we will have a Burning Man leadership conference coming to town. And around that, we're inviting anyone who would like to come and create based on the 10 principles to do events. So there's going to be events at KTH, there's going to be events at, there's going to be like glitter dodgeball, there's going to be discussions around migration, everything, anything that you would like to do, you're much welcome to come and do. The only thing is just to stick to the 10 principles, really. On the 4th of March, we're having dinner called Utopia or Dystopia. So it's based on sort of where we find ourselves in reality at the moment. And yeah, there will be, you can choose. It's like a big potluck party where where you're welcome to create something either dystopic or utopic, and meet burners from all over the world. Thank you.